Hello, I'm Katherine Downes and this is Roots TV. Welcome to this very unique programme. A programme created for all football professionals and in particular all of you responsible for the ongoing development and welfare of the most important assets in your football club, your young players. Each ever hopeful of that dream offer, a professional contract. Now, it's well documented that the percentage of Football Academy scholars who go on to be offered professional contracts each year varies greatly. In some academies, it's estimated that only around 10% of scholars receive that professional contract, while in others the percentage could be much, much lower. We all agree, though, that it's a highly competitive and challenging process for academy players to earn those contracts, and only a select few are able to make the transition to the professional level. I recently met with one of the many young footballers whose dream of being offered a professional contract didn't come true, but whose idea to provide a safety net for future scholars is now an exciting reality.
Hi, my name is Ansman Konde. I'm 25 years old. I go by the name AK, just easier to pronounce. I was born in Guinea, West Africa, next to Senegal and Ivory Coast. I moved over to Ireland when I was the age of 10. While I was there, I fell in love with football. I started playing and doing well, scoring a lot of goals. Man City spotted me, they invited me over for a 6-month open trial. But at the end of the 6 months, I wasn't selected to be one of the players at the academy. And I fell in, with the semi-pro environment. But then, within those 5 years as a semi-pro player, the biggest struggle that I found was be able to showcase my talent, right? And every single team I went to seemed to require a football CV, which I found strange because my peers, football teammates, they didn't know what football CV was. As a football player, academy player, you've got this mindset of just making as a footballer only. You don't actually realize the skills that you learn from football academy as a player, the life skills. But we don't realize we can actually use these skills outside of football and be able to be successful outside of football. That's when the idea hit me, because I got to a stage now in my life where I won't be the next Jamie Vardy, and I've always been business-minded, so I can turn an opportunity into a business, create a platform for the next generations after me to not have the same struggle. The idea just made sense to me, that having a platform where I'd be able to create a CV that can allow me, if I do want to continue my football career, I'll be able to take that with me and showcase my talent, for them to know who I am, where I've been. I believe I would have had a better opportunity of having a trial at League 1, League 2, Championship, level. But having a platform like this, if I'm not gonna make as a footballer, I've got something here that can actually allow me to apply for a university, to go and become a sports scientist. There are all the routes, having the skills, everything that you have here, your education, means a lot somewhere else. But roots, for the new players now, will be able to have everything that they've done from the youngest age to wherever they are in life. I went to Italy, I played with, the like of the Italian national team. I'm now able to showcase that I've got that life experience. And it means something else in the real world outside of football. If I had roots back then, football didn't work out, but it's okay, there's something else for you. So my hope is every single player, youth, female or male, giving them that power to know, whether I make it as a footballer or no, I've got something else to go on and achieve great things in life, out of football.
Now, I'm joined in the studio by Simon Wilson, Director of Football at Stockport County, whose previous roles include Head of Performance Analysis at Southampton and Manchester City. Good to see you, Simon. Lee Wood, Player Care Manager at Wigan Athletic Academy and owner of the Development Locker podcast. Good to see you as well, Lee. And Mike Hearn, Head of Education and Welfare, also at Wigan Athletic, and who's been instrumental in his advisory role to the development of this Roots CV app. So, Mike, I'll come to you first because you've been part of this almost from the beginning, haven't you? What was it about this app and this idea that you wanted to get involved in?
I think as soon as the concept was raised, it became obvious that this is the next stage. This is the thing that's been missing from the support packages that the clubs are giving to to players when they get released from the football clubs and perhaps can't find another opportunity within the game, which is so difficult to do. To give the lads a platform, something digital, something modern, something that's going to go forward with them for many years to come. Plenty of evidence, plenty of stats, plenty of data, plenty of information in there that they can pick and choose what they want going away from the old two-page traditional CV.
How much of a challenge has it been for clubs to deliver that duty of care to players, the majority of which don't get a professional contract at the end of their days at an academy?
It's massive. Mental health is at the forefront of everything we do, well-being the same. And the hope, the optimism is that the app will provide us with a lot more support in terms of that, giving the players the stability. They know they can go there and check their evidence, check their clips, check all the information that they've ever gathered along their academy journey should be there in one place for them to use and utilise going forward.
And as part of your advisory role in that, what was it that you were especially keen to see going into the development of it?
Especially keen to see the players celebrate their journey. They've been through, some of these players have been in the academy system 10 years, should we say. Others maybe as little as 2 or 3 years. But they've all achieved great things. It's a real unique, bespoke journey that they've been on. And rather than see it being released or they're not continuing their academy journey or even their football journey as a negative, the app allows them to celebrate and identify with all the great things they have achieved along the way.
And it's all there for them to take out into their future as they leave football perhaps and go off into other areas of sport or industry. And with that in mind, I was given a demo of the Roots app by Stuart Green, the Roots project lead who's responsible for the overall delivery of the system. Let's take a look. So Stuart, tell me a little bit more about this app. How does it work?
Okay, well, there's quite a lot of features to the app, Kat, so bear with me. If we look at the home page of the app, what that does is it gives the individual an idea of their progress within 5 key areas that are pertinent to a CV. So what we've got is we've got the profile area, we've got their education, we've got personal development, we've got football, and we've got references. What a tutor is able to do is indicate whether the individual needs to add more content to any one of those 5 areas through a red, amber, green traffic light system on the home page. So if I start with the control along the bottom edge on the bottom left-hand corner, that is the profile area of the app. Within that, the individual is able to set a wallpaper, personalize the app, make it feel their own space, their own environment. They can add their own profile image. And if we tap on that profile image, this guy, Danny Roots, has a profile area which consists of content that he's populated himself. What this framework allows the individual to do is not have to think about building a CV. As long as they're populating content within each one of the fields, what that will do is reveal itself within the CV that they generate.
So it's a bit of a hybrid between social media, creating a social media profile, and doing a CV at the same time.
Yeah, and doing it all within your own app, your own environment, so you can try things out. You can see how that looks in your CV. You can write your own content and record the journey that you're on, more importantly. I think what AK wanted this app to do is to allow and ensure each individual going through the academy is making record of the things that they've experienced, because let's face it, footballers experience so much more, arguably, than young people at that age in education. In which case, to be able to convey that experience through a CV is really important. If we move to the progress overview tile, what this shows is all of the qualifications that the scholar is experiencing through their journey. The Sporting Excellence Professional module, for example. Each qualification we can drill into and see all of the modules within it. We can then add media to any one of those modules, and that will generate within the CV, within the app.
It's really clever.
every bit of the learner journey can be added to that CV through a particular button, the center button along the bottom edge, and that allows an individual to add media. That media could be video, it can be audio, it could be pictures, files, or text. In fact, it could be a request for a comment from a tutor.
So this is interactive in terms of how an individual can portray themselves out there in the real world, but also the way that they interact with the people who are providing them with their coaching and their guidance.
The fourth of the controls along the bottom edge is the notification center, within which a user can receive information from a mentor asking them to, or reminding them to put coursework into their CV, for example.
And that information can be uploaded in pretty much any format. It's a multimedia CV.
So if I can pick up again on the 5 controls along the bottom edge, if we imagine that everything to the left of the plus in the center is about populating content about yourself, everything to the right is about how you communicate yourself outwardly. The very last of those 5 controls is what we call CV Central. That is the area within which an individual is able to look at examples of CVs that have been created to show them how best to populate their own. What they can also do is view one of 3 types of CV. A quick snapshot, a traditional view that can be downloaded as a PDF and read by ATS machines used by recruiters when employing individuals. And also a fully interactive version, which, when you press the eye icon in the center of the screen, generates automatically that fully immersive view of the individual. It allows the individual to then share that information back from CV Central by airdrop, by message, by WhatsApp, in any way they would normally communicate.
It sounds really clever. Gone are the days of the traditional 2 sides of A4 for your CV. What's been the feedback from the people at Wigan, say, who are already using this?
Okay, well, first and foremost, we do have 2 sides of A4 for anyone who wants it. It can be generated by the app. However, all our digital natives who we've tested this out with over at Wigan Athletic, our young scholars, immediately intuit the app. We put it in their hands and the competition in them is immediate to see. They're all populating content as quickly as they can and showcasing themselves to each other to give each other a view of how they look within that club.
So it's basically the CV for Gen Z.
I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely. What we found is that individuals who've been connected to this app do genuinely feel that connection. They feel not only the connection to the app and the actual journey through the academy, but also to the qualifications that they're learning. We had individuals who weren't really sure of all of the units and modules within the qualifications. And at the end of a session with them, we asked them how many units, how many behaviours, and they literally went straight to the app and counted them.
It's got to make them feel pretty good about what they're achieving as well.
Absolutely.
So it's clear, it's clever, it's preparing players for the next step of their journey, whether it's in or out of football. And Lee, as your role as player care manager, this must be something that you work with day in, day out. What are the pitfalls do you find for a lot of young players when they're coming to the end of their days at the academy and the end of their days in football?
I think it's access to their own evidence, their own information, and them supporting themselves in their transition, whether that's in football, outside of football. And Mike said earlier, in terms of helping them with the mental health struggles, that disconnection from leaving the academy, which they all will do at some point, hopefully within to the first team environment. A lot don't. So it's really going to be able to connect them with the information that's theirs, help us support them, and really give them accountability and ownership over their development. Yeah,
because this app comes at player development, doesn't it? From both sides. You've got the players uploading their own information and taking ownership of that, but you've also got the platform that coaches and mentors can see exactly what they're up to and help them through that.
Yeah, and ultimately as staff, that's what we want to be doing. We want to contribute to their development as well. they've got to take accountability, but we have a passion and we thrive off them developing and continuing their journey. So if we can contribute to that, we can see how far they are in terms of their transition, their development journey, and we can kind of interject at key points to help them along the way. How
would this help your workload then at the moment, when you're constantly chasing your charges to see what they've been doing with their time and their qualifications? How would this help?
Oh, massively. It's really going to be seamless, really, in terms of all the different organisations that are involved in these young men's development. It's going to be really helpful to us and really help streamline what we're doing and allow us to focus in other areas. The fact that it's really effectively going digital, that everybody has access to that information, everybody can see what they're doing and when they're doing it, how they're doing it. And I'm really looking forward to it being launched and the lads getting the benefit out of it. Yeah, benefit to the players, benefit to mentors too. Let's go back to Stuart to show us how the Roots app system through its control centre connects a club's players to their mentors.
Okay, Kat, thank you. What I want to talk about now is what you're seeing on screen here, which is the club control centre. What we've done is we've created an online secure platform through which the club can communicate with individual app users. Within that club control centre, users can be seen by mentors, and the club can decide who those mentors are that are able to communicate back and forth with individuals who are using the app. The club is able to add new players through a batch upload, or add individual players should they arrive at the academy out of sync with the main cohort. Using the controls within the centre, the club is able to identify an individual player, isolate them, and look at the detail relating to them. The club is able to set red, amber, and green indicators for each of the 5 areas within a CV. This encourages the users of the app to add more content to the areas lacking in order to provide balance across that CV and build up the content that gives us an idea of their individual skills and their individual abilities. There is also a messaging facility which allows the mentor to encourage the individual to upload content to their CV. Each mentor is also able to rate an individual's transferable skills which appear within the CV. What this means is that when the individual needs to communicate outwardly the information within their CV, those transferable skills ratings, along with a description or an appraisal, appears within the CV from that mentor. The control centre also allows the club to view all players and the alumni, effectively giving you the ability to record the journey of scholars who've come through the academy and left, moved on to other clubs, moved on into other industries, but crucially, the club is able to maintain contact through the notification centre in order to provide their duty of care beyond that individual's relationship with the club. The key element of the control centre is that at the touch of a button, the club are able to view an individual's CV in real time, giving them a complete view of every bit of content that that individual has added to their CV thus far. Finally, we've added the ability to create reports that allow you to be able to communicate within the club or outwardly just exactly how you're looking after your scholars and their onward journey. To be able to filter and show specific players in specific positions and how successful or otherwise they were within your academy and where they are now. A club administrator is also able to add new mentors or remove mentors or update information relating to a particular scholar. Ultimately, the aim of the control centre is to keep that connection with your scholars and with your alumni. Keeping that contact allows you to continue to support them in their onward journey outside of your club and into the world beyond football.
So making the job easier for coaches and mentors as well. Simon, coming to you finally, thanks for your patience. How do you think this will be a benefit for a club like yours, for an academy like Stockport County? Where do you think this kind of system and app would fit in?
Yeah, it's great timing for us, first and foremost. I mean, we recently promoted back into the Football League, and off the benefit of that, we are able to operate an academy again for the first time in 11 years for Stockport's, in Stockport's recent history. Academies is a massive part of our overall strategy. Stockport's a big community, 300,000 people, and we hope that the academy is a real big part of what we do moving forward. So then it's a case of how are we going to do it, and how well are we going to do it, and how are we going to convince parents that their child is best placed at our academy moving forward, and how can we make a promise to those young people that their experience with our club, whichever way it goes, is going to be a positive one in their life. And so when I was presented with the app in the first instance, I just thought, what an excellent tool to celebrate everything that the academy experience gives you. And I'm a big believer that the experiences, the advantages that these young players get at the moment are so beneficial in advance of other children that are not going through it, if you like. So when they come out of it, it's being able to evidence that, to be able to tell the story and articulate that in a really powerful and clean tool that's gonna benefit the kids.
We were saying a bit earlier in the programme, it's a kind of a mix between social media and a CV as well. So really easy to use for young people.
Yeah, perfectly placed. Exactly that, really, and a tool that's easy to use, easy to digest, to receive as well, but powerful because you can then explore it and go to extra layers to I suppose understand more about the player and the person behind the player, really. For employers or other clubs that receive it later on down the line.
And how will it make your life easier? What kind of gaps in the current system do you think it might fill?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a way, we're a startup. We're a brand new academy after 11 years. So we've got a lot of new staff, got a lot of new players. We actually run a football and education component, which has 180 children in as well, outside of our scholars. So across all of those children, those teachers, those mentors, those coaches, it's about a platform that can bring all that together and make it really simple for the kids to bring all that stuff together and tell a story about what their experience has been.
Do you find that it's often a concern for parents to push their children into academies and to encourage them to dedicate some time and future to football, that there isn't anything until now that's kept their eye on their future beyond the game if it doesn't work out?
Yeah, I think the football clubs, the football authorities and the people that have worked inside of football are very mindful of that fact and their duty of care to the parents and to the players. And so I think there's been some great work that's gone on in that, and we're probably better placed than we've ever been before. This app is a way of sticking that all together and make it really simple for the clubs and for the players to pull that together and evidence just what is an amazing experience for 99% of the population that go through it. There's been some challenges over the years. We've learned from that. I think we've put new things in place to make it better than before. But for most of the population that go through this, myself included, it's an amazing transformational experience that puts these kids on a platform to go and achieve great things in their life afterwards.
Simon, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Best of luck with the academy, getting it all up and going once again as you head off into success in the Football League, I'm sure. Mike, thank you so much. And Lee, great to hear your thoughts as well on all of this. Let's get back to Stuart, shall we, at this point for a little bit more. So Stuart, just run through for us the key benefits and features of the system again.
Absolutely, Kat.
Let's firstly revisit the main in-app features for scholars. the ability to see the progress you're making in developing your CV, a direct connection with mentors through the messaging centre, the ability to track, develop and focus on the progress being made through courses and qualifications, a structured profile builder providing a framework to showcase all your individual qualities, a rich media uploader where video, audio, pictures, files and text can be added to all aspects of your learner journey. The ability to dynamically generate and share an interactive infographic CV to showcase who you are and where you're heading. For all mentors in the Football Academy, the Club Control Centre enables one-to-one messaging with scholars. The ability to assess an individual on their transferable skills. A real-time view of all scholars' CVs. The ability to provide prompts to indicate where an individual needs to focus their CV populating efforts. And a reporting tool allowing a football club the ability to generate reports and track the progress of any scholar, past or present.
So I'm the head of an academy, let's just pretend. How do I go about integrating this setup into my academy and making it work for my players?
Okay, well, the beauty of the product is that it's relevant all year round.
We firstly set up your Club Control Centre environment. We add all club mentors that you'd like to have access. Through a simple upload, you're able to onboard all scholars in one go, and your scholars simply download the Roots CV app from either the App Store or Google Play Store. Once they sign in, the connection between scholar and club is complete. For a limited time, we're allowing early adopters full access to the system ahead of the start of next season, giving you the ability to integrate Roots into your academy in a way that complements your workflow and ahead of the start of the season.
Stu, thanks so much for the explanation once again. There you have it. There are already some scholars in football clubs around the UK benefiting from the Roots app. So get in touch with the team by emailing sales@roots-app.com and get your scholars using Roots. Thanks once again to my studio guests, Simon, Lee and Mike, and to Stuart, of course, for demonstrating the app, and, of course, to AK for his initial idea that's now growing roots.